Yim Hotep, Ankh Uja, Seneb Cc Neb. I come offering the satisfaction of life, prosperity, health, healing, and everything. This again is Minister Vincent Ballard. I am so glad to see and be with you. Just came to share a few words with you. Today, I really would like to talk about the ancient concept of Maat. You know, the ancient concept of Maat, according to research, like certain chematologists like Mother Raketi Amen Jones and Dr. Yosef A. Ben Yekanan and others, the best fact finding that I have researched tells me that Maat refers to harmonious balance. And we have to be very careful of trying to fit it into the English language. Of course, we want to speak in a way that you could relate to. However, the English language, the transliteration would be life in terms of Maat, rather. It would have to do with truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balance, harmony, and order. Again, truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balance, harmony, order. As we live through our daily lives, we have to have truth, because the truth, as you know, as we've been taught, will set or make us free. But the truth, way before that saying, our ancestors in ancient Kemet, which was a child or offspring of Kosh, which we call Cush, which was known as Nubia of the Sudan, and they even called it Ethiopia at one time. But the truth will, in fact, make us true. And so that's why we was fact find, so that we will find out this information. And so truth is a very serious characteristic or divine principle in Maat that can help us through every day. The next one we said was, we said also justice. Justice speaks to fairness. And so we must be fair in our everyday life. We must be fair to ourselves, internally, eternally. We must be fair to our home. We must be fair to our community and our jobs. We must be fair in terms of our wellness, okay? And we said truth, justice, and then the reciprocity part. Things must balance out, you know, like we think of the boomerang effect. What you do, in fact, will come back to you. And so the thing is, we do things in a way where it balances everything out. And reciprocity has to do with that. Sometimes even when I'm cleaning, I try not to offend the least thing, you know, when I'm cooking, I show respect to the stuff I got to throw in the garbage that the items may be in, because the plastic, the things from the trees, we should respect that also. We even should respect the water. You know, water is a kind of compound that is I'm told is one of the purest things on the planet, and it complements stuff. So we must be careful what we do and say about it. So this reciprocity, and as it relates to fairness, is very, very important, because justice is something that we need. We think about how there is a passage that said, to whom much is given, much is required. So we must be fair. We don't ever know what situations we will end up in. So fairness is equally important. And so we said truth, justice is the fairness part. Then the righteousness part, the decency, the divinity, going to the higher spiritual realm. You know, we are divine creations in a divine human experience. And so righteousness has to do with decency. We must care how we treat each other and what we do to each other. That's very, very important. Truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity. Of course, I mentioned about the balancing. And then the balance part. We know that on one day we are going to be jailed. We are going to be judged by the scales of Maat. And they're going to weigh things. And we find in the ancient pyramids, that's what they did. They weighed a lot of stuff. And so we must reconnect with this. That's very important to our favorable survival. Another thing is that not only truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balance, but the harmony. We must have harmony. We must watch and care how we carry ourselves, how we conduct ourselves. The ancient nation state of Kemet was thought to have one of the highest levels of harmony. It was also based, what they don't teach us, on good behavior. So that's very, very important with our behavior. That's what we stand on. That's where our people come from. Truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balance, harmony, and then the last thing is order. In ancient chematology, our foremothers and forefathers thought so much about order. Order balances out disorder. What we know as evil, it was called isfit. The English transliteration would be I-S-F-I-T or F-I-S-F-E-T. And remember, we can't jam in English terminology. I mean the meta-nature terms for English. But you're talking about order. Well, opposite of order is disorder. And so relative to resolving conflicts and things that we do, we must realize that we must have order. For example, in terms of male-female relationships, for the female, ancient reference or divine principle is that of Sekhmet. Sekhmet was the fierce, aggressive female principle. The opposite side of that, the kinder was Beset. And so Catwoman, the modern day Catwoman movies would be of a smaller replica of Sekhmet. But Sekhmet, of course, was the daughter of the deity that we knew, that we would call like a god. But of course, it was a different system back then. But she was the one that would take care of everything. And so many times when we're interacting in terms of female-male relationships, we want to bring out the Beset, calmer side of the female. We don't want to get them upset, and we want to be their protectors, but also use our wisdom. Likewise, we're not going to let the guys off the hook. We can be Jehuti, or we can be Set. Of course, Jehuti has to do with wisdom, okay? The divine wisdom. And of course, Set would be the fierce side. I used to think that Set was the devil, but no, Set is not the devil, because there are ancient pictures in some of the tombs that show Set on the ship with the creator during that time. But the reason being that Set has to do with disease and healing. So when order gets with disorder in terms of the guy, it calms things down, okay? And we'll talk about that later. But the point being that order calms down disorder. And so in our everyday lives, we need order to calm things down. So let's sum it up. Maat is about truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balance, harmony, and order. And if you would, those should be like a common denominator that we use every day. And we will come back with you at another time. And again, I would say, I think that my books would be very examples, and there are others. In particular, one of my latest ones is What Black Folks Should Know About Black Folks, which is on Amazon Books Online. Also, I did a sketch book, and it has a more favorable depiction of black people and our contributions to society and the things that we can do even right now. But it's called The Sketchbook on Culture for Youth and Adults. It can also be found at Amazon Books Online. So listen, you have a very prosperous day. You stay in your divine state. You remember Maat, that has to do with harmonious balance, or truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balance, harmony, and order. Ashe, so be it.